Nerd Growth.
Cue the starting music.
I usually listen at 1.8
Yo, this is Weird Growth, the podcast where we hear the strange and often unpredictable stories that founders take on this journey that we call startup. Today we're recording live at Westech Fest 2022 in beautiful downtown Perth at the Western Hotel. This is a little bit like going back to where it all began. Westech Fest is really special to so many startups that came out of Western Australia and to Ammo Marketing, which I think started about 2014, and going to Westech Fest over just around here at the corner here at Perth Town Hall was something that inspired me to work with startups and help them with their growth marketing, and here we are today, many years later, with an amazing guest, Scott Glew. Fantastic to have you here, mate. We're so happy to have you on the podcast. For those who don't know Scott, and there wouldn't be that many people in WA startup scene who don't, he was involved in the very early days. In fact, he's probably the daddy of the startup scene in WA in a lot of ways.
The big daddy.
By founding Morning Startup, which is a very long running morning meetup every fortnight down in the basement at Riff. And also the founder of a successful startup called Fastvue. And we're going to hear some of Scott's story today, and then have a chat about the WA startup scene. So Scotty, thank you so much for being here, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
How would you introduce yourself to people?
Myself or
Yeah.
my company?
Yourself.
Well, yeah. My name's Scott Glew. That's probably how I would introduce myself. And I'm the founder of a company called Fastvue, and we help companies and schools monitor and manage their internet usage. So the big use case is if you've got a kid searching for how to kill myself, which unfortunately happens every other day in schools. We have alerts that go to the right people. We have dashboards and reports for the IT team and people in businesses to keep an eye on what's happening online.
Yep.
And yeah, I also run Morning Startup, which is, as you said, a fortnightly meetup for tech startups to get everyone in the same room as often as possible, and hopefully good things happen.
Two very important things that you do there, mate, and very different. And I'd love to hear more about Morning Startup. We'll chat about that in a minute. But Fastvue is a global company, really? You've got clients all around the world?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we started actually in the US. Myself and my co-founder, we flew to the US to sort of kick things off because we knew that most of our customers were going to be in the US, so we wanted to be there. You know, we didn't want to be doing tech calls at 3 a.m. in the morning from Perth. So that's where most things started, and then Europe and the UK is probably a big chunk of our market, and Australia's definitely been growing over the last couple of years as well, especially in education.
In those early days, what was the catalyst for starting Fastvue, and how did you stumble across this problem that needed to be solved?
Yeah, so it was me and a couple of mates that had previously worked at another company that my co-founder started called WebSpy. For various reasons, we all ended up leaving WebSpy in 2010, and we're sort of sitting around, as blokes do, in our jocks eating pizza. We weren't wearing jocks.
It's a great visual, Scott. Thanks, man.
And we thought, okay, we all want to work together. What should we work on? And we've bounced around a few ideas, but the one that we landed on was there was this firewall that Microsoft produced called Threat Management Gateway. For those of you that don't know what a firewall is, like back in the day when people actually went to an office, there was a thing that managed your internet, right? The firewall stopped the nasty things coming in, like viruses and stuff, and it stopped the people in the network from visiting porn and stuff like that. There was a really, really popular one that Microsoft made called Threat Management Gateway. Like hundreds of thousands of organizations used it because they got it for free as part of their like Microsoft volume licensing.
It was like the
agreement.
Internet Explorer of firewalls, was it?
Pretty much,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
That's right. Everyone just gravitated
not a good
to
thing.
this thing. Yeah, that's right. Well, it was actually really good.
Okay.
It did a really good job too. So it's pretty popular, but it had really shit reporting. So if you wanted to work out what apps were being used on the network, or what sites were people going to, or how much bandwidth was being consumed and things, you just couldn't do it, right? It had some really primitive reports, but it was pretty crappy. But it had really good logging, so everything that went through it, it really documented all of the stuff that it did really well in logs. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could just make a really nice reporting app that just said, there's my TMD server, show me what I need to know about what's happening online. Is there anything I need to be concerned about? And hopefully, if we do that, maybe there's we can make a nice little lifestyle business out of it. There's enough people that use it. It's really, really nichey. We should be able to market to them pretty easily.
Yeah, magic.
And if we make something really cool, then it should do well. So that was kind of how it catalyzed.
And how did you find those first customers? Did you know who you were solving that problem for initially?
Yeah, pretty much. So because it was so nichey, there was a lot of forums, or a few forums, a handful of forums, and some people blogging about it regularly, and all coming up with this regular question of how do I generate this report, or how do I get this information out of the firewall? So we knew that there was a problem there. And also through our work experience for the previous company, we knew that people used it, and because it was the previous company WebSpy also did log analytics on firewalls, so we knew that this thing was a problem, and we could attack it. But as we were developing the first product, we did a lot of commenting on the forums and reaching out.
So you're part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I know we got some freelancers say, hey, just go and find us all the people that are blogging about TMG, and then we reached out to them and we sent them an early version of the product and said, hey, can you write a review about it? And the noise started to get out there, and by the time we finally launched in 2012, there were people sort of chomping at the bit, because it was cool, it was different, it was new, and it solved a problem that a lot of these people had in that market.
You took the easy road. There's so many founders who don't do that and don't build a product that's for a ready set community, and that's just so nice to hear that was your experience, at least, that you were able to tap into a ready set market of people who are just about beating the door down to have it.
Yeah,
day one.
You got to find your customers.
Right.
Through Morning Startup, you see so many people that just have an idea because they've got something like a passion that they want to solve, but there's no one else with that same drive, and they might launch something to cricket. So, yeah, go and do the validation and find out if there's a
big
market
time before you build it. When did you realise, hey, we're onto something? This is something that's going to work.
Yeah, okay. So I guess we launched in January, and we got one customer. It was a school in Ohio, I think. It was a few $100, and then in February it sort of grew to a few $1,000s, and then in March we kind of started snowballing. So we got some bigger customers like Virgin Active, Al Jazeera came on board, and Lockheed Martin, and then that's where it really started to go to tens of thousands, and we were like, okay, all right, this is okay. We might be able to make a living out of this. That's all right.
Wow, well done. And was that through any proactive effort reaching those customers, or was it very much passive? Or how did that work?
Yeah, well, pretty much the same thing. Just being active in the community, making sure people knew about it, blogging and commenting on forums. There are a few key people, like knowledge experts in the space. Shout out to Richard Hicks in the US. He was all over it, and he really adopted our product and took it to a new level and got it out there as well. So just finding those key people that can help you actually get it in front of people. And as soon as it was in front of those people, they were like, take my money. It was good.
What was it like operating in the US? Perth boy, sort of uprooted essentially over there. What was that whole process like?
Oh, yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Where did you go?
We went to the Bay Area to start with.
Oh, wow.
Because why not, right? Tech central of the world. And when we arrived, so we had a bit of seed funding from one of our friends, and it basically ran out the moment that wheels down in LA. And
paid for the flights, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Fortunately, my brother-in-law lived in Bakersfield. If anyone knows, it's halfway between LA and San Francisco, in the middle of the desert. So we hung with him for a month just to kind of get our bearings and hopefully find a place to rent. And I was just sort of, we need to get customers, or we need to get funding so we can actually find a place to rent. So that was a pretty tumultuous time. But yeah, it was fun though. When we finally started getting customers and just being in the Bay Area, I remember going to meetups like Morning Startup and things, and just the cutting edge of people that you'd meet. I remember a guy saying, HTML5 apps. This is back in the day when people were doing HTML5 and putting wrappers around it to make apps.
Yeah.
How it's a bit janky. So yeah, well, we solved it. And here's this 3D fly through a periodic table on an iPad. And then another meetup was the programmer that goes by the handle of Substack, and he's just live coding and talking generically about building tiny node modules and stuff. It's just the 15% of people that you meet are outstanding, like just like genius level people.
World class, right?
And all the other people are, just people like me just trying to have a go and hack around. But in Perth, you find the genius people are sort of more 1% of the market. It's just a higher percentage of people that are just like crazy. But we didn't actually stand around in California because it was bloody expensive as well. So renting a house and everything was mad. So we actually ended up moving up to Seattle, where for the same amount in rent, pretty much we had a view of a lake and a mountain and an awesome backyard for the kids and stuff. So yeah, that was a great change. We loved
And
it up
Seattle, like an incredible tech center, home of Microsoft and Amazon and many others as well. So that would have been
absolutely
pretty, up there.
Yeah, it's like tech center number 2 in the US.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a question you get asked a lot, but do you need to move to the US to build a successful business if you're from WA?
It depends on the business. It really does. Like if you, I don't know, you just got to look at where your market is, I think. Where are your customers? If all of them are in the US, then yeah, you got to go over there. And
is it just a time zone thing though, or do you need to be able to eyeball people?
Again, it would depend on the product. If you're just doing a SaaS thing where it's, solves a problem, it can all be totally online. You don't actually need to speak to people very often.
Yeah.
If you need to speak to people, even if it's partners that might help get the word out or whatever, then being in that market is pretty critical. Look, I would encourage anyone to go and have some time there at least, even if it's the 3 months on a holiday visa, and just go and network and meet people and get an understanding for the next level of where things are at over there. And then bring that back to Perth because we need that here. So I'm always trying to encourage morning startup and stuff sure, go and learn stuff over in wherever that may be, and bring it back to Perth, please.
Well, we're glad you brought it back to Perth, man. It's fantastic having you part of the community. And I suppose you said the word lifestyle business before.
Yeah.
It's interesting because most founders when they first start out in that journey aren't setting out to create a lifestyle business. They're setting out to create a unicorn. And so, but the reality is that the vast majority of startups will never become a unicorn. In fact, they probably will never become profitable.
Yep.
How do you decide what you want to achieve by creating a startup and what you want to do with your, with your lifestyle? That's what you're going to do.
Yeah, good question. So I guess the drive down that was, so the previous company that we were at was called WebSpy that my co-founder started, and that was actually an ASX listed company.
Really?
Yeah. So he went through the whole .com boom and bust, and got listed and went through just trying to prove growth every day and satisfy investors. And he was like, I don't want to sign up for that ever again. So, what's the point? And if you can build a business that is affording you a nice lifestyle, it's paying the bills and a little bit more, you're achieving all you want to do, if you've got kids and they can go to good schools and whatever, then, in my eyes, that's a successful business. You don't have to do the Canva thing. I wonder what their level of happiness is at that level when they've got so much more responsibility, so much more money, so much more everything. Are they sleeping well at night? I don't know, but I know I am.
There's only so many Rolexes you can wear at one time, right?
That's right. Everyone's got to make that decision for themselves, though, right? So, some people that's their goal and that's what they want. But for Fastvue, I don't think it was ever a business that would sort of get to that, $100 million, $1 billion kind of valuation in the first place. So it was never really venture fundable in the first place. It was, especially just looking at the TMG market, it was so niche. It was, a market cap of, I think, Microsoft might have even been earning maybe $100 or so million from the product themselves. So we were just a small fraction of that. So yeah, it wasn't really that sort of business where we go and raise a bunch of money and try and become a unicorn. It was more let's just try and hack a product together and see if we can make something cool and interesting and have a good lifestyle.
What could possibly be next for the future, or is it really just allowing it to take its own course?
Oh, man, yeah, so much. I mean, part of the story I didn't tell is that Microsoft discontinued their TMG product on us about 3 months after they launched.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
nice
so that was nice. So we were, well, shit. We just had all these customers and now what's going to happen? Fortunately, they said, look, we're going to support it until 2015, which is like 4 years later, and then extended support, whatever that means, till 2020. So we didn't know if people were going to move away from it like really, really quickly or whatever. So fortunately, they didn't. And in a way, it was a real opportunity for us too. Because we sort of became a thought leader in this TMG space, we were able to talk to lots of customers and say, okay, well, what are you thinking? What are you looking at moving to? You're going to have to replace this firewall with something. And then we started blogging about that. It's like alternatives to TMG. And there's this alternative that quickly became up there called Sophos, or a company called Sophos. They had the best like-for-like feature comparison. So we developed Fastvue Reporter for Sophos, and at that time we kind of re-architected the product because we realised, well, that's just the first of many. You know, we're going to do Fastvue Reporter for Fortinet, Palo Alto, all these others that are now in the market.
So that sounds like the lesson you took away from putting all your eggs in the Microsoft basket, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, we were sort of thinking that from the start as well. Like, if the TMG thing takes off, maybe we can do other firewalls as well. Yeah. They just kind of accelerated that decision for us by discontinuing it. Like, thanks, Microsoft.
Yeah. I think it's good advice to any founders building a product on a platform which they don't own or control, is that anything's possible, right? So
100%. Be careful what platform you pick. And even moving to the cloud and choosing a SaaS provider, that basically means making one of 3 big American tech companies richer, or the landlords of your entire infrastructure. So, and we've seen Amazon pull out of Australia because the government was going to charge them GST or something. So, you got to be. If there's risks with everything you choose.
Sure. Another amazing thing that you're doing at Fastvue, I noticed, was supporting an organisation which is fighting child exploitation material online.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we just became a member of the Internet Watch Foundation in the UK, which do amazing work. I don't
Massive
know
kudos for that. That's
how
really
they do
worthwhile.
it, but they basically look at a whole bunch of horrible material and try and get rid of it online, so they can put orders into ISPs and things. Say, hey, you've got this file on your servers somewhere, get rid of it. So we partnered with them to access their keyword lists. They have a whole bunch of horrible keywords that people search when they're in that realm. So our software will detect that if that's going on in your network and notify the right people.
Yeah, awesome. Well done for doing that and being part of that. Onto something more lighthearted, I suppose. Morning Startup.
You get a bit deep.
Yeah. One of the... Well, as I said, you are the daddy in a lot of ways of the startup scene in Western Australia. There are so many serendipitous moments that have happened as a result of Morning Startup. Founders meeting co-founders, people being inspired to go and start something new. So thank you for what you and the other guys involved in that have done as part of that over many, many years. I know it's not an easy thing to get up at 7:30 in the morning every second Wednesday and organise the speakers and everything, but it's just such a pivotal part of our ecosystem, and it's really valuable. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, man.
What made you start it originally?
Just selfishness, really. I wanted to learn from other founders. There was a meetup that Sam Birmingham was running back in the day called The Hive, I think, and that was great. And I met Isaac Jury, who does Tidy Club at the time, Tidy HQ, and the two of us decided to get together for coffee to continue a conversation about subscription billing and stuff.
Isaac's Tidy HQ is still running as well, right?
Yeah. Isaac's
Another
still going
probably
with
lifestyle business, I guess, as well, in a way.
Yeah, I think so. You have to ask Isaac about that.
True,
I think he's trying to grow it to cool things, and he's done really well. I know he's had ups and downs, but he'd be a great person to get on this pod.
Big
for
time.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's moved to Melbourne though, right?
He has moved to Melbourne, and I don't know if I should say.
No, actually, you shouldn't come on the podcast.
Considering a US.
Only Western Australians are welcome on here.
That's right. Keep it in WA. But so we just got together for coffee. Then we thought, let's invite other founders to this and just put it on meetup.com, called it Morning Startup, scheduled it every 2 weeks at a coffee shop. And it was just like 5 people around a table. And then it kind of grew to 10. And then Brody started Space Cubes. And I had buggered off to the US by that stage.
Yep.
So it was Isaac and Justin Starsky that took it and gave it a more formal approach with a speaker and all of that stuff. And it's just been every 2 weeks for the last 11 years, rain, hail or shine. Cool. And they wrote me back into it when I came back.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like, I love it. Every time I try and put on a speaker that I want to hear about. And even if they're not 100% in my field, I always walk out of Morning Startup learning something and going, shit, that's a really good idea. I might look into that or apply it to my business in some way. So you just don't know what you don't know. And if you don't get out there and network and engage with other people, it's, it can...
Yeah, like very often it's the first event that people go to. when they choose to start getting involved in this space. And it's amazing how many, fresh, bright-eyed young, or maybe not so young people, who haven't been jaded by this space yet, you get to meet at Morning Startup. It's awesome. What do you think it is about the longevity of it that makes it?
Oh man, just the
so
fact it's been
successful?
on meetup.com with a fortnightly recurring meetup, and it's like, shit, I've got to get a speaker for that. you just gotta book it in and do it regularly.
It forces you to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Just be consistent.
What advice would you have to people who are looking to get involved in the startup space or learn more about what opportunities there are for them in WA?
Yeah, well, first of all, come along to Morning Startup. So we have a little slide deck at the start where we put up like supportive organisations and people like Plus8 and Curtin that are doing great jobs trying to help people learn to be a better entrepreneur, validate ideas, all of that stuff. So there's a lot of programs, a lot of support available in the Perth startup community that you just need to kind of seek out. So come to Morning Startup, we can definitely point you in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah, but it makes... Validate your idea first and foremost. I see so many options. People just don't do that and just plug away with their idea, and just.
I think there's it's absolutely can't be overstated the value of being a part of a community, whether it's of your customers or of fellow founders or people who are in that technical stack that you're in or whatever, before you go out and build something. Because at the end of the day, you're building a product or that you're hoping to help people with, or for them to be users of or customers of.
Yep.
And the closer you can be to understanding, to those people and understanding what their motivations are and why they're going to use it and things, the better the product is that you're going to build.
100%.
And if you build it in a vacuum and then try to launch it, you're probably not going to have a fun time, unless you're building it for an AI or a bot or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So unfortunately, if you're an introvert and, you'd prefer to sit in a dark room with your hoodie coding all day, just find a way to have that connection with other people, even if it's in an online space or something like that. I think it's super valuable.
Yep. And that key of like talking to other founders, that is absolutely key for me. Because every day is pretty tough and it's pretty lonely. You just got to have enough mental strength to keep pushing through those tough times. And by speaking to other founders and try and find founders that are going to be honest with you, hopefully someone you can share revenue figures with and all that sort of stuff. And then, just have that. Just someone to bounce stuff off. So it's like, okay, it's not just me, because I feel like I'm failing every single day. Other people feel that way too, So really reach out to the community and find someone to talk to.
Great advice.
That's important.
And any challenge you are facing, the chances are there's someone out there who's been there and done that before, and probably has a really simple or elegant solution to or can at least coach you through how to deal with it.
Yeah, you just haven't thought of.
Super important. One thing that we do at Weird Growth that I usually do at the start and I forgot is a pop quiz.
Okay, bring it.
And the question is, if you were to start a new business today from scratch, what would it be and who would you be helping?
All right, imagine this. Do you like go-karting?
I love go-karting.
All right, me too. So, real life, augmented reality, Mario Kart. Imagine
Yes.
that. So you're in a kart, you've got like a HoloLens in your helmet or something, you're driving around, you're picking up like power-ups and rocket launchers and things, and then that snotty little 13-year-old overtakes you and you like throw a sack of bananas at him and he spins around and you pull off a sick overtaking move. That would be fun.
Mate, you need to build
I'm
this.
just going to put that idea out there. I don't care if I don't do it, I just want that to exist. So please, someone do it. And if you want me involved, I'll have to put my hand up. But no, seriously, like it would just have to be something that's fun, I think. Something that makes me smile would be the next thing I work on. I've got a list of ideas that I come across when you're running a business. You're doing a whole bunch of things from running Google ads to accounting or whatever, and you come across these little problems like, why isn't that easier? Like why doesn't this exist? And so I've been writing those down the last 11 years, and so I'll just pill for that and see which one makes me smile the most.
So good. Do you have, so that's like a possible future feature or product list that you build? Do you have the same way as you keep a bug list, I guess?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because these things don't exist yet.
These things don't exist. Yeah. Maybe there's a market there. And it's literally just a brain dump of an idea. I haven't done any validation or looking into it so they exist, and I'll go through that list. I do go through it every now and then.
Love to take
that's
a peek
still a
at
good
that.
idea. Yeah, but if you don't write it down, you forget about it. So write your ideas down, people.
Yeah, hang on. Keep the little notepad next to your bed or whatever when you have that night idea. Yeah.
I just use a thing called Simple Note on my phone. And
That was what I was about to ask next. What's it called?
Simple Note.
Simple Note.
Yeah,
Okay.
just create a note and it's just text. It's not like overcomplicated with markdown and formatting and things. It's just dump it in that.
It's a beautiful segue to the next question that we always ask on Weird Growth, which is, what is the tool or device or system that you have in your life that you couldn't live without that's making your life better at the moment?
I guess so I use Calendly on a day-to-day basis, like just to
Brilliant.
schedule time. Which
So people can book
love
a
that.
slot straight into your calendar. Yep. Through a web.
Simple Note, as I said, that's a really good note-taking app. I use Slack every day to communicate with the team. And Loom. Loom has been a lifesaver.
How good is
especially
Loom?
with a remote team. Like, we're fully remote. We have 10 employees scattered around the world. And if there's something that I need to communicate with the sales guy in California, he's just never online when I'm online. So I'll record a video with my screen and show him stuff. And it's just a better way of communicating when someone's not around, when you really need to
Just
show
the
them something.
asymmetric video comms. Yeah, you don't need to be there at the same time as they are on Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
We use Loom for our proposals that we send to clients, and it just quick 10-second, maybe 60-second little, hey, how you going? Just puts that human face to what would otherwise be a coldish kind of email.
Exactly.
And people always comment on, that was a nice touch,
Emails are so boring. Like, I could
Yep.
write it all out in an email.
I love the feature that Loom has where you can copy the code into the email and then it creates like a little GIF as well. Just a loop GIF of the video
when you
in
actually
the
put
email
it in an
body.
email so you can see it's a video. That's neat.
It's really tidy.
I like it.
One other thing we were chatting about before that I wanted to quickly touch on, and people are buzzing about at the moment, is GPT chat, which is OpenAI's new sort of chat functionality that they've just released. Who's tried that out in the crowd? If you get a sec, sign up for it, give it a whirl. My prediction is it's going to kill Google if Google doesn't keep up with this. And you were saying...
the fact that, search, I think, is going to be a massive... I don't have to click on every link now and do my own research. I can just ask a generic question and it's going to summarise, all of the best articles for that for me. That's great.
Right. The use cases are unbelievable. I had it rewriting an AC/DC song today for my dad to make Hell's Bells about John Deere tractors. And it did it, rhymed words flawlessly. It was funny. It was incredible the way that it, and just, understood the context of two completely different topics and then mashed it together. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
I got it to write a limerick about my son the other day because I always try and put a limerick on birthday cards and things. So that's going to save me a ton of time. No longer have to, what rhymes with Harry? But I did just try it before. Right? See if I can pull this up.
So if you haven't tried it, just search OpenAI, and they're also the same guys who made the DALL-E 3 image generator, which you probably would have seen around the last 6 months or so. But this is for detailed text, technical pieces of information that it then formats into a useful format. Yeah.
Like,
what have you got?
Therapy and stuff. So I asked it, how do I talk about myself in a live podcast without sounding like an egotistical wanker? And it says, one way to talk about yourself in a live podcast without coming across as egotistical is to focus on your accomplishments and experiences in a way that is humble and self-aware. Instead of bragging or boasting, try to highlight your achievements and successes in a way that is relatable and interesting to your audience. You can also share personal anecdotes and stories that illustrate your character and values, and avoid making grandiose or self-aggrandizing statements. Above all, be sincere and authentic in your communication and strive to connect with your audience on a genuine and personal level. Now, I could have asked anyone in the audience that same question, and I don't think I would have got a comprehensive and concise response to that.
Incredible.
So
can you ask it how to be an incredible host and how to be endearing to the crowd?
We should plug that in.
Yeah. That's incredible, and it's a game changer. I think we've all known that this is coming, this AI stuff, and I think it's hard for us to imagine like what the real implications are, and it's also, I think most people's interactions with it has been clunky and less than satisfying to date. I think it's just getting to that point now, and it's going to only accelerate where it becomes more convincing and more sort of surprising the way that it delivers the information that it returns.
So I think Chamath was commenting on the All In podcast the other, or I think it was the other guy, the science guy. He said, it's probably going to be the next bubble, because everyone sees the hype around this, the things that it can affect, and it's kind of like when the internet launched for the first time, everyone's like, this is crazy.
Big time. 100,000 startups are going to tap into this instantly.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I liked your prediction that it's actually likely to fragment the search engine space as well. Like you might have lots of different, more specific use case type rather than just all omnipresent Google. Yeah, it might actually fragment it and have more specific use case science or coding. Like this thing can write code better than a coder, essentially. Yep. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I did forget one thing that I've been using over the last couple of months, which has been changing my life, which is the Arc browser by the browser company. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's awesome. Yeah. So instead of using Chrome, I was one of those guys that had a billion tabs open all the time and never wanted to close them. It's changed my life. It's you got to set up all these spaces for like work and personal.
It sounds magic.
Great.
Arc.
It's really good.
ARC.
Yeah, Arc. It's if you go to the browser company.
Okay.
.com or something. Yeah, search the browser company.
Jagger, how are we going for time? We've got to wind it up. All right. Well, Scotty, it's been an absolute pleasure to have the chat with you here at West Tech Fest 2022. Thank you for everything that you do for the community, and thank you for all those serendipitous moments that you, by running Morning Startup, you facilitate. It's a really invaluable part of the West Australian tech ecosystem. And thank you for sharing your story today as well about Fastvue. It's really interesting. If anyone's interested in learning more about Fastvue, what should they do?
Fastvue.co. It's a really crappy, horrible website at the moment that I'm replacing. I've been spending way too long trying to get the new one out last year. But yeah, it should be launching soon.
You should talk to a good marketing agency.
Maybe, I should do.
Maybe you know someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Good idea. Have you got one around?
I don't know. Anyway, mate.
Look, man, thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate it. And thank you for all of the Weird Growth podcasts that you're putting out as well. And your support of the startup community, including Morning Startup and everything.
Very nice.
It's great that you're telling founder stories, because we need more of that to get more interest in what startups are doing in Perth and investment and everything that will flow on from that. So
appreciate that. Did the AI tell you to say that?
Yeah, that's it.
That's very nice.
That was
thank you, mate.
How do I finish this off?
And thank you all for being here to listen to this special episode of Weird Growth podcast. If you want to check out the other episodes, visit weirdgrowth.com. We record this. There's 2 cameras in the room. It's going to be on YouTube in a few days. And thank you if you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please do subscribe and leave us a review if you enjoyed it, and share it with your friends. But until next time, I'm Cam Sinclair. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.